Welcome to the kingdom of Betelgeuse. Statue of a panda, many wicked posters all around, a Verdanian embassy, an Objectlandic embassy, a Dormian embassy. This is our ally chart. It is inspired by the more famous Wall of Allies in Podland, but speaking of Podland, this is our Podlandish embassy and Judean embassy. We also have the Dormian embassy here. This is our flag. Symbolism is a blue sky surrounded by the star Betelgeuse. That's it. It's not as beautiful as, for example, the Judean flag. However, its simplicity allows it to be recognized at a distance. Now let's talk about our precious history. Now, our history is very, very eventful, so we'll only talk about the early events in our history. In November of 2023, our micronation had its beginnings as the Republic of Jacinto. It wasn't very active, and I didn't really know that much about micronationalism at that point, only the basic micronations and stuff. Back then, our micronation wasn't really active in the community, and I didn't spend nearly as much time as I do now for my micronation. In July of 2024, I decided to change it to the Republic of Betelgeuse, and had a war with Takaland, a neighboring micronation. We won the war, and we ended up gaining some territories on Pluto, and later that month, we changed to the Kingdom of Betelgeuse. Later that year, another war broke out with Takaland, and it ended up in the micronation nearly collapsing. However, it was able to survive, just barely. In fact, the war never actually got resolved until May of 2025. That month, we started actually interacting with the broader international community, specifically Podland, which became our first ally in June. That same month, in order to resolve a war between Podland and Objectland, we created something called the Rio Grande Accords, which basically ended the war in a white peace with some additional things that helped the peace stay for a little while. Now that's all I'm actually going to get into for this video. However, if you want to actually know our full history, you can check out our microwiki, which is linked on our channel. This is our Constitution, which got ratified in May. Now, if you don't know already, a Constitution is basically a country's document that sets out the basics for how laws get passed, certain freedoms sometimes. It basically just describes how the nation's government works. Here in the Kingdom of Betelgeuse, we use 4 currencies: the atom, the molecule, the grain, and the US dollar. This is the Betelgeusean atom, which is a fiat currency like the US dollar. Okay, we'll get to you in a minute. A fiat currency doesn't actually have any real value, so that makes it susceptible to things like inflation and stuff. The Betelgeusean atom is the oldest currency in Betelgeuse, with its oldest notes being printed back in 2024, over a year ago at the time of filming. The Betelgeusean molecule, on the other hand, is backed up by something that I know it's not worth much. It's literally just goo, but hey, it's better than a fiat currency. Am I right, guys? Right? Now finally we have the Betelgeuse in green, which has the most interesting history. Oates Jenkins actually made this as a joke currency, which is actually pretty funny, so we like that here, so we decided to implement it. We also have the US dollar. The only reason that we use it is because we're surrounded by the US. If we were more independent, we might not use it. However, geography influences us, as well as the fact that the US claims us as its territory. So, yeah. That's all. Subscribe if you want to see more. And this is Young People. And goodbye. Welcome to the Kingdom of Betelgeuse. Also in May, we had our Constitution get developed. It lays out the... You know what a Constitution is, probably. Okay, I probably shouldn't have thrown it on the floor. Hi guys! I originally made a video back in May introducing my micronation, however, there's been lots of changes to our micronation since then, including alliances, embassies, and other things. Bye!